So in the last class, you just familiar with certain words, right? Unit cell, then crystal lattice, lattice point, then characteristics of crystal lattice. Then unit cell is characterized by certain parameters. Then we classified this unit cell into primitive unit cell, centered unit cell. Again, this centered unit cell is classified into three types, right? So which are the three types of centered unit cells? Srihari?
Body centered unit cell, face centered unit cell, and end centered.
Yes, Srihari, are you there in the last class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. I didn't see you, that's why. Okay, then now we are going to learn about different crystal systems. Okay, before that, there are certain questions uh, in the page number 7 based on the previous topic. That means different types of solids. We can just discuss that questions. Then we can move to the next topic. Okay, all of you have textbook with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you please take this page number 7. Okay, Gauri, can you read the first question?
Why are solids rigid?
Page number 7. 7. In text questions.
Classify the following solids in different categories based on the nature of intermolecular forces operating in them.
Okay, that's
Potassium sulfate, tin.
Gauri, that's enough. So you have to identify which type of solid is Achut, page number 7. Okay. So the first question, you have to classify the solids into different categories based on the intermolecular forces operating in them. Okay. So can you tell me which category each one belongs? First one, potassium sulfate. You have learned different types of crystalline solids, right? Molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, covalent or network solids. Then can you tell me to which category this potassium sulfate belongs to?
Ionic.
Very good. That is belongs to ionic solids. So you can write the ionic. Okay, ionic. Next one, tin. Tin. I think it's very easy for you. Tin belongs to which one?
Metallic.
Yeah, very good. Metallic solid. Metallic. Next one, benzene. Benzene. Benzene.
Covalent.
It belongs to molecular. Okay, molecular solids. Molecular. Then urea. Urea. It also belongs to molecular. And in bracket, you have to write hydrogen bonded. Okay, in ammonia, in this urea, not urea. Next one, ammonia belongs to molecular hydrogen bonded. Okay, urea just molecular solid. In the case of ammonia, hydrogen is there, right? So it belongs to hydrogen bonded. Next one, water. Can you tell me?
Hydrogen bond.
Which one, Punya?
Hydrogen bond.
Yeah, molecular and it's hydrogen bonded. Very good. Molecular and hydrogen bonded. Next one, zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide. Can you guess?
Ionic.
Very good. Ionic. Ionic. Then graphite. Graphite. That's right. Tell me.
Covalent.
Covalent. Covalent. Then rubidium. Rubidium. Yeah, Sharon, that's right. You can tell me. Metallic, right? Yes. Metallic. Next one, argon. Argon. Can you tell me? Argon belongs to, yeah, molecular. Molecular. Then one more, silicon carbide. Silicon carbide. That belongs to covalent. Okay. Some examples are there in the table itself, table 1.2. Okay, so you can check it again. So first question finished, 1.6. Okay, then Naurin, can you read the second question, 1.7?
Ma'am, I don't have the textbook.
Okay, then Emmanuel, can you read?
Solid A is a very hard electrical insulator in a solid as well as in molten state and melts at extremely high temperature. What type of solid is?
Can you tell me the solid with hard electrical insulator in solid as well as in molten state and melts at extremely high temperature? Which type of solid have this property? You can look into that table and tell me.
Metallic.
Is it metallic? Insulator. Yeah, among this crystalline solid, which one is that? Electrical insulator. Which one shows the property of insulators?
Molecular.
Molecular, but here electrical insulator in solids as well as in molten state and melts at extremely high temperature. It belongs to covalent solids. Okay, covalent. Covalent solids, or it otherwise known as network solids, right? Covalent or network solids. Here the melting point is high. That's why it belongs to covalent. Okay. And the previous character, that means electrical insulator, it belongs to both molecular solids and covalent solids. But the melting point is high. That's only in covalent or network solids. That's why. Clear? Okay, then 1.8. Krishna, can you read next question?
Ionic solids conduct
Ionic.
electricity.
Ionic.
Yeah, ionic solids conduct electricity in molten state, but not in solid state. Explain.
Okay, can you guess the reason? I think it's clear for everyone. Why?
movement of ions.
Very good. Very good. In molten state only, the movement of ions possible. In solid state, it's closely packed. Movement of ions is not possible. That's why. Clear. You can write it in your own words. That's the reason. Okay. Then the next question, 1.9. Gayatri, can you read the question?
What type of solids are electric conductors, malleable and ductile?
Okay. Which type of solids have these properties? Electrical conductors, malleable and ductile.
Metallic.
Very good. Metallic. That you have learned from 8th standard onwards. Metals are malleable, ductile, right? So it belongs to metallic solids. Okay, so I think it's clear for you, right? Do you have any doubt? No. Okay, all of you, please try to switch on your videos. Okay. Then, so in the last class, we learned about uh, certain parameters, right? Edge length and angle between these edges. So based on the differences between this edge length and angles, there are 7 types of crystal systems. Okay, based on the difference between the edge length and angles between these edges, there are 7 types of crystal systems. So we can learn that 7 types of crystal systems. And along with this 7 types of crystal systems, we have learned about the classification of unit cells also, right? Primitive and centered unit cell. This centered unit cell is again classified into 3 types. So based on this, there are different types of dimensional lattice also. So there are crystal systems and dimensional lattices. So based on this, there are 7 crystal systems and 14 three-dimensional lattices. They are called Bravais lattices because this 14 three-dimensional lattices, they are introduced by a mathematician, French mathematician, Bravais. So it is known as Bravais lattices. Clear? There are 7 crystal systems and 14 three-dimensional lattices. It is known as Bravais lattices. These 14 three-dimensional lattices are called Bravais lattices. It is introduced by a French mathematician, Bravais. Clear? So shall I move to next one? Okay, then we are going to learn the 7 crystal systems and its possible variations. Okay, I think this table is in your textbook also. If it is not clear for you, you can look into your textbook. Okay, page number 10. First one, cubic. Okay, cubic. This is the first crystal system, cubic. And in the case of their edge length, A equal to B equal to C. That means 3 edge lengths, they are equal. And their angle, axial angles, or otherwise known as the angle between the edge length, alpha, beta, and gamma, that is equal to 90 degree. Okay. And the examples for this cubic crystal system, sodium chloride, zinc blend, copper, etc. So these uh, elements and compounds exist in a cubic structure. Clear? Their geometry is cubic. And they have 3 possible variations. They exist in primitive cubic unit cell. What do you mean by primitive? Where the particles occupy in the primitive cubic unit cell? Can you tell me? Primitive. First one. Primitive.
Only the corners.
Yeah, very good. Only at the corners. And body centered. Body centered means along with this 8 corners, addition to this 8 corners, one at the body center. Okay? And it also exists in face centered. That means addition to 8 corners, center of each face. So these 3 variations are possible in the case of cubic crystal system. So 1, 2, 3. 3-dimensional lattices in the case of cubic. So cubic crystal system it, have possible variations of primitive, then body centered and face centered, where edge length and angle between this edge length both are equal in all the dimensions. Clear? Any doubts? Do you have any doubts? Okay, nothing. Then the second one, that is tetragonal. Okay, second one, tetragonal. And it also have the variations of primitive and body centered. Okay, primitive and body centered. Here the edge length A is equal to B, but it's not equal to C. A and B is equal, but the C is different. And in the case of bond angle, that means the angle between the bond length. Okay, alpha equal to beta is equal to gamma is equal to 90 degree. And the examples are white tin, then titanium oxide, calcium sulfate. Clear? So this is the second type of crystal system. Then the third one, that is orthorhombic. Okay, orthorhombic. In this crystal system, there are 4 types of variations. First one, primitive. Second one, body centered. Third one, face centered. And fourth one, end centered. You're familiar with all these types, right? Primitive, then body centered, face centered, and end centered, right? What about end centered? End centered. Anyone? End-centered unit cell. What do you mean by end-centered unit cell? Where does the particles occupy?
In addition to the 8 corners,
Yeah.
particles will be present at the center of 2 opposite faces.
Yeah, center of 2 opposite faces, right? So in this orthorhombic system, there are 4 types of variations possible. Primitive, that's only at corners. Then body center, addition to corners, it's at body center. Then face centered means in addition to 8 corners, it's on the center of each face. And the end centered, in addition to 8 corners, it is at the center of 2 opposite faces. And here this bond edge length, okay, edge length, it is not equal. A is not is equal to B is not is equal to Z. Clear? But in the case of bond angle, it's equal 90 degree. So in the case of cubic, tetragonal and orthorhombic, their axial angles are 90 degree. Okay. But in the case of other 4, their bond angles, axial angles is not 90 degree. There is some variations. Okay. Clear? So we have learned 3 types of crystal system: cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic. And in the case of orthorhombic, the examples are rhombic sulfur, then potassium nitrate and barium sulfate. Okay. Then the fourth crystal system, that is hexagonal. Hexagonal crystal system. And it has only one variation, that is primitive. Very simple. Right? And here this edge length A is equal to B, but it is not equal to C. And the bond angle or axial angle alpha and beta, that is equal to 90 degree, but gamma is equal to 120 degree. Okay, 120 degree. And examples, graphite, zinc oxide, cadmium sulfide. Then the fifth one is known as rhombohedral or trigonal. It also has only one possible variation, that is primitive. Okay, and here this edge length is equal, but in the case of axial angle, alpha and beta is equal to gamma, but it is not equal to 90 degree. Okay, three angles are equal, but it is not equal to 90 degree. And the examples are calcite, that is calcium carbonate, then HGS, etc. Okay, mercury sulfide, that is cinnabar. Then the sixth one, monoclinic. It also has two possible variation, that is primitive and end-centered. Here also bond length is not equal and axial angle alpha and gamma is equal to 90 degree, but beta is not equal to 90 degree. And the examples, monoclinic, sulfur, sodium sulfate, then sodium sulfate plus 10H2O. It's 10H2, right? Okay, H2. Then the seventh one, triclinic. It also has one possible variation, that is primitive. Here also their edge length is not equal, and the bond axial angle, it is not equal to 90 degree. And example, potassium chromate, then copper sulfate, and H3BO3. So these are the examples. So you just learned 7 crystal systems: cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic, hexagonal, rhombohedral or trigonal, monoclinic, triclinic. Okay, then I told you that there are 14 dimensional lattices. So you have to count these possible variations. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this second column, this belongs to the 14 dimensional lattices. 14 dimensional lattices, and it is known as Bravais lattices. Okay, clear?
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you explain why is it called Bravais lattice?
It was introduced by a French mathematician known as Bravais. Okay.
No, ma'am, that the whole column is called Bravais lattice, right?
That's because in this 7 crystal system, each has possible variations. Okay. So that's the dimensional lattices possible in the case of this 7 crystal systems. Together known as 14 dimensional lattices, and it is known as Bravais lattices because due to the name of that scientist. That's it. Clear, Punya?
Okay, ma'am.
So these are the 7 crystal systems and the 14 dimensional lattices. In each one, in the case of cubic, 3 variations possible, and in the tetragonal, 2, orthorhombic, 4, and in the case of hexagonal, rhombohedral, and triclinic, only one, that is primitive. And in the case of monoclinic, 2 variations are possible. So all these together, there are 14 dimensional lattices. It is known as Bravais lattice. And we can classify this into different types based on the edge differences in edge length and axial angles. Okay, we can see it in the table itself, right? Their bond edge length and axial angles are different in each cases. So based on this, we can classify it into different crystal systems, and based on the dimensional lattices it formed, we can classify it into 14 dimensional lattices. Okay, clear? Michael, can you read the names of 7 crystal systems?
cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic, hexagonal, rhombohedral or trigonal, monoclinic, and triclinic.
Okay, fine. So these are the 7 crystal systems. So you have to just note the names and learn the 7 types of crystal systems. And if it is possible, you can learn this table. Okay. Or at least you can learn the name of crystal systems, just their important edge length, axial angles, etc. like that. And you have to note that there are 14 dimensional lattices. It is known as Bravais lattices. Clear? And if you look at the page number 11, you can clearly see the images of each type of variations. First one, in the case of cubic, there are 3 types: primitive, body-centered, and face-centered. That we already discussed. Then in the case of tetragonal, primitive and body-centered. The next one, orthorhombic, then monoclinic. Yeah, that's it. Is this clear? Children, do you have any doubts? Anyone? All of you, please switch on your videos.
Ma'am,
Yes. Yes, Gauri?
ma'am, should we learn to draw that?
No, no need to draw. Just to understand, that's it. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Shall I move to next one? Yes, right? Okay. Then next one, we are going to learn the number of atoms in a unit cell. Okay. Mainly 3 types. So number of atoms in a unit cell. We are going to find out number of atoms found in each type of unit cell. First one, primitive cubic unit cell. First one, primitive cubic unit cell. Primitive cubic unit cell. Okay, so can you tell me, in the case of primitive unit cell, what do these particles occupy? Primitive unit cell. Tell me. Atoms are only.
Particles are on the corners.
Very good. So we can consider these particles as atoms. Okay. Just consider particles as atoms. So atoms just only at its corners, right? So in the case of cube, how many corners are there?
8.
Yeah, 8 corners. So atoms are only present at this 8 corners, right? Then you have to tell me each atom in each corner, okay, that is shared between its neighboring unit cell, right? This is a simple unit cell, a simple unit cell. But in the case of a crystal lattice, these unit cells are arranged to make an entire crystal, right? So you just tell me, in the case of this atom, how many other unit cells share this particle? If the cubes are arranged in a 3-dimensional way, you just consider this corner as in the center. There is another cube here, another here, another here. Then in the other side also there are 4. So can you tell me each corner is shared by how many other unit cells? Can you tell me?
6.
Is it 6?
8.
Yeah, 8. You can clearly observe it in your textbook, page number 12, figure 1.12. Figure 1.12. You consider just that blue thing as a particle in the one corner. Okay. Then there are how many cubes arranged there? In the upside 4 and downside 4, right? Yes or no? Is this clear? You just consider this corner as just the middle of that entire crystal. Okay. So this corner is shared by 4 other unit cells on the upside, and downside also it is shared by 4 other unit cells, right? Yes. So it is shared by 8 other unit cells. So we can write this as 1 by 8. This one corner, it is shared by 1 by 8. This is in the case of one corner. Okay. Then how many corners are there in this symbol unit cell? Just tell me. One corner is shared by 8 other unit cells. Okay. So we just write 1 by 8. Then how many corners are there in the case of a primitive unit cell?
8.
8. So we can calculate as 8 into 1 by 8. That is equal to 1. So the number of atoms in the primitive unit cell is considered as 1. Okay, I will repeat it once again. In the case of primitive unit cell, atoms only present at the corners of unit cell, right? So there are 8 corners. Okay, and atom in a single corner, it is shared by 8 other unit cells. So we can write it as 1 by 8. And there are 8 corners. So 8 into 1 by 8. Each corner is shared by 8 other unit cells. So 8 into 1 by 8, that is equal to 1. Clear? Do you have any doubts?
Ma'am, can you explain it again?
Sure. You just leave this. Okay, you have learned that in the case of primitive unit cell, how many, okay, where do these particles exist? In the corners, right? In the case of primitive unit cell, the particles exist at corners. Okay. And here we considered primitive cubic unit cell. Okay, primitive cubic unit cell. So in the case of cube, there are 8 corners. There are 8 corners. Then we just considered one particle at one corner. And this one atom or particle at the one corner, it is shared by 8 other unit cells. Okay, 8 other unit cells to make the entire crystal. So you can write one atom at at the corner is shared by 8 other unit cells. So this one atom at the corner is considered as 1 by 8. And there are 8 corners, right? So the total number of atoms in a unit cell is equal to 8 into 1 by 8. That is equal to 1. Is this clear? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone? Any doubt? You can ask. Do you have any doubt?
No.
No. Shall I move to next one?
Only the total number of atoms, can you say that?
Yeah, total number of atoms. Okay. Okay, then we can move to the next type. So this is the first one, that is primitive cubic unit cell. Okay, primitive cubic unit cell. Then the second one, body centered cubic unit cell. Body centered. Yes.
The total number of atoms, how do we get? Can you say that again?
It's 1/8. That's in the each corner. Okay. One corner is shared by each other unit cell. That's why we write it as 1/8. Clear? Achut, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then there are 8 corners in the case of cube, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. That's why 8 into 1/8. That is equal to 1. Both 8 cancelled. Now it's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. Then the second one, body centered cubic unit cell. We have learned just body centered unit cell. In the case of body centered unit cell, what do these particles occupy?
Center of the body.
Yeah, corners and then center of the body, right? So, in the like the previous one, here also 8 corners. So each corner is equal to 1/8. Then there are 8 corners. So 8 into 1/8, that is equal to 1. Okay, that's already there. Along with that, there is one particle at the center. And this one is at the center of the body, right? So it is not shared with other unit cells. Okay. So atom at the body center, atom at the body center, that is equal to 1. In the corner, we got it as 1. In the body center, it is 1 because it is not shared by any other unit cell because it's at the center of the body, right? So it is not shared with other unit cells. Therefore, the total number. Can you tell me the total number of atoms? Total number of atoms. In the case of, yeah, tell me.
2.
Very good. 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. Okay. Here it is cube. That's why we take it as 8. Okay. You have only learned about this cubic system. Okay. First one, primitive cubic unit cell. Here the particles are present only at the corners and each atom in the corner is shared by each other unit cell. That's why it becomes 1/8. Then there are 8 corners. So 8 into 1/8, that is equal to 1. That is in the case of primitive cubic unit cell. In the case of body-centered cubic unit cell, along with these 8 corners, some particle at its body center. So 1 plus 1. And the particle at the body center, it is not shared by any other unit cell. So 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. Clear? Any doubts? Anyone? You can ask me. Hmm? Nothing? Hmm? Tell me yes or no. Any doubt? Hmm?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Then one more type of unit cell, that is face-centered cubic unit cell. Okay, face-centered cubic unit cell. So can you tell me in the case of face-centered unit cell, Where do these particles exist? Face centered. 8 corners plus 6 faces, right? Center of 6 faces.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So like the first primitive unit cell, here also 1 by 8 into 8, that is equal to 1. Along with that, you have to consider the 6 faces. Okay. So can you tell me this particle in the center of each face, it is shared by how many other unit cells? Can you tell me? If you consider this particle, okay, this particle is the center of this face. It is shared by how many unit cells?
Two.
Yeah, tell me. That's correct.
Two.
2, right? Yes. So it is 1 by 2. Okay, 1 by 2. And there are how many faces are here? For a cube, how many faces?
6.
6. So 1 by 2 into 6, that is equal to 3. Therefore, the total number of atoms, that is equal to 3 plus 1, that is equal to 4. I will repeat it once again. There are 8 corners in the case of cube. So in the face-centered unit cell, the uh, particles are at 8 corners, and along with that, the center of 6 faces. Okay. And in the case of corners, each atom in a corner is shared by 8 other unit cells. That's why it becomes 1 by 8. And there are 8 corners. So 1 by 8 into 8 is equal to 1. And in the case of face, this is considered as a single face. And there is one particle at the center of this face. It is shared by this cube and another cube in its adjacent position, right? That's why it becomes 1 by 2. Then there are 6 faces. So 1 by 2 into 6, that is equal to 3. So 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. Is this clear?
Ma'am,
Yes.
how do we get that 1 by 2? Can you say again?
Yeah. In the case of this face, okay, a cube has 6 faces, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when we consider one face, okay, this face, you just consider this face. And this is the particle at the center of this face. And when we arrange it in a three-dimensional way, the another unit cell, it is placed adjacent to this unit cell, right? So this particle is shared by this cube and the adjacent cube, right? This cube and the adjacent cube. So there are 2 unit cells. So 1 by 2. This single particle, it is shared by this unit cell and the adjacent unit cell. That's why 1 by 2. Clear?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Then there are 6 faces. So 1 by 2 into 6. Similarly, each face, this face and the 6 faces on the top and bottom, all faces shared like this with the adjacent unit cell. That is 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 into 6, that is equal to 3. So 3 plus 1, that is equal to 4 in the case of face-centered cubic unit cell. Only these 3 types you have to learn. Number of atoms in a unit cell. Okay. Just I will go through this. First one, primitive cubic unit cell. So in the case of primitive unit cell, particles only exist at corners. In the case of cube, there are 8 corners. So one atom exists in the one corner. It is shared by 8 other unit cells. Okay, 8 other unit cell. So it becomes 1 by 8. And there are 8 corners. So 8 into 1 by 8. That is equal to 1. Okay, that is in the case of primitive cubic unit cell. Then the second one, it is body-centered cubic unit cell. Addition to 8 corners, particle occupy the center of the body or body center. So 8 corners. In each corner, the atom is shared by 8 other unit cells. So it becomes 1 by 8. And there are 8 corners. So 8 into 1 by 8, that is equal to 1. Atom at the body center, it is not shared by any other unit cell. So it exists as 1. So 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. That's in the case of body-centered cubic unit cell. Then there is one more, that is face-centered cubic unit cell. Okay, in the face-centered cubic unit cell, addition to 8 corners, there are 6 faces. So the particles exist in this 6 faces also. And the particle at each face is shared by 2 unit cells. So it is 1 by 2. There are 6 faces, so 1 by 2 into 6. In the corners, we got 1. So 1 plus 3, that is equal to 4. This is clear?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, how did we get atom at the body center as one in body centered cubic unit?
It is in the center of, it is at the center of the body, right? Only one particle exists at the center of the body. Okay, it is at the center, so it cannot be shared by any other atom or any other unit cell. That's why. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why. That body center, that position is not shared by any other unit cell because it's at the middle portion, right? That's why it exists as 1. So 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. Clear? You just draw this figure and try it. Okay, try to find out the number of atoms. Then if you have any doubt regarding this, you can ask me in the next class. Okay, then I will share the notes in the WhatsApp group. Okay, children? Okay, so thank you all. See you in the next class. Bye.